Delicate and sensual, orchids intrigue to such a degree that they drive mere mortals to conniving and thievery. Out in the Everglades near Naples, Fakahatchee Strand Preserve State Park has dealt with its share of orchid swiping. It was the main setting for the non-fiction book The Orchid Thief a few years back, about the elusive Ghost Orchid. In fact, the park has had to discontinue its summertime ghost orchid walks in recent years because of the problem. But visitors can still spot one of the many native species on the 75,000-acre park's miles of trails, or on one of its get-wet swamp walks during the winter season.
We have so far discovered and documented 47 native species of orchids. That renders Fakahatchee Strand the orchid capital of the United States. Back in March 2009, one of our volunteers on one of our slough surveys, Chris Little, was able to discover a brand new species of orchid for Collier County and new to Fakahatchee, of course, too. It was called Cyclopogon elatus.
Out of all the different types of orchids at Fakahatchee, the ghost orchid remains the celebrity.
There are some ghost orchids that were shown to me in September of 1993 by Charlie Dutoit. It's basically leafless. It has no leaves at all. It's just roots with chlorophyll. And then for about 1 week, sometimes up to 2, it'll make this ghostly white flower just hanging in the swamp, suspended on a very thin spike, bouncing up and down with the wind or with raindrops touching it in a rain shower. And it just steals the ball. So for me, it's the Cinderella of orchids.
Susan Orlean, a New Yorker journalist, became so enthralled over one man's obsession with the ghost orchid, she devoted an entire book to it. The Orchid Thief grew out of a 1993 incident in the wetlands of Fakahatchee.
The manager at the time was Mike Petty, and he discovered this vehicle out here, just parked in a place we don't usually see him park. We thought it's kind of unusual, so he waited a few minutes, and out they came with pillowcases and garbage bags. And he stopped and asked them, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Are you on a swamp walk?" And they said, "Sure." He said, "Well, what do you have in the bags?" "Oh, we have orchids."
The so-called orchid thief, John LaRoche, had taken 92 orchids, 3 ghost orchids among them. Mike Owen returned all 92 to the swamp the next day and can attest to only one that survived.
Once an orchid, a native orchid, is moved, especially an epiphytic orchid, it doesn't have much of a chance of surviving.
Owen remembers Susan Orlean's Fakahatchee research for the book, which later inspired the movie adaptation starring Nicolas Cage and Meryl Streep.
I did ask Susan, I said, make sure you put in a little bit of reality check in there. Don't let everybody think that this place is just easy. You can come in here and take orchids. Let them know that there is deep water, there are alligators, there are cottonmouths, venomous snakes, and there are mosquitoes, and it is hot and humid.
I don't like spiders and snakes, and that ain't what it is.
Owen and park volunteers lead their swamp walks November through February for people who share their love of the swamp's subtle beauty and wild orchids. Among the trees, bromeliads, ferns, and other vegetation, swamp walkers will often see a half-dozen or more species of orchids, many of which start blooming in the late fall. For most, that's the highlight of the tour.
They are kind of sexy. That flower is out there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to reproduce. The beauty of the intricacy of them, though. So orchids really do attract people. And a lot of times people just want to be out in the wild, too. And orchids is just another good reason to be out there.